How do you update a legend? How do you take a mythos that's so familiar and keep it alive, keep it growing for the future? Superman's origin is a story we all know, but Superman and Lois takes Superman beyond what many other on-screen stories dare to do. It shows us a hero, a man grown up navigating struggles that are unknown for most superheroes. And for that to be the man of tomorrow, the embodiment of hope, and following Superman after almost 30 years of protecting the world, is perfect. In this show, we get to see the beauty of life, not from the perspective of a young man, but from a father, a husband, and as always, from a friend.
The show explores themes of family, relationships. It's so different to any Superman. It's so awe-inspiring to explore all of that to Superman, but also to the humans. Superman has so much impact with humanity in this show. And this is CW. We grew up watching CW with Arrow, with The Flash, and with all the other shows as well that had superheroes. But this just goes beyond that. This might be one of the best iterations of Superman that we've seen on screen. Cue the music.
This is the Out of Time Film Podcast, where your hosts Tom and John discuss everything from blockbuster films to TV and games like there's no tomorrow.
Hell yeah, dudes. So, as you said, it's CW, but it's not Arrowverse. So, this is
Yes.
kind of coming off the back of everything. It was originally supposed to be Arrowverse and they retconned it. But either way, there is something beautiful about the fact that the DC shows in the CW started with Superman, with Smallville, and it ended with Superman and Lois. It's a beautiful epilogue that carries elements of the Arrowverse with it, like the casting of Superman and Lois, but it embodies the spirit and hope and new horizons that Superman should be. Where the CW once showed a young Superman navigating the complexities of teenage life, it also facilitated us seeing an older Superman who's navigating the complexities of adulthood. Both of them have the same hope at their core, and there's something truly beautiful about that to me. When you think of a Superman story, you never think the thing that I want to see is teenage Superman, or the thing that I want to see is older Superman. But through TV, we've managed to see these stories in such an unexpectedly poignant way. 4 seasons, it's tight, it tells a complete story, and you get this wonderful perspective on the life of a hero, and this is the good stuff.
Yeah, it's something that we've never truly explored about Superman being a parent. He has to go through so many obstacles to look after Jordan and John, his sons, and the trouble of finding out if they have superpowers or not. That is so interesting to see him face that human obstacle and learning so much from that. There's that responsibility, the mentorship. We live in this terrible world where there are terrible mentors and toxic masculinity, whereas Superman in this is so cool to see. One of the things I loved was when Superman saved the kid from the cop and made the iconic pose from the comic. Great scene this. I
Yes!
know Tom is very excited about this.
Yes!
And loads of people got mad about this. The kid said, "Oh, nice suit." And then he said, "Thanks, my mom made it." And
Oh,
there's
yeah.
something like, again, loads of people got mad about that for no reason. And that's why I find so admiring that he's not insecure. He's just being this goofy guy. He's not afraid to be who he is, that kind of person. We live in a world of toxic masculinity, and there's something about Superman that allows you to be not mean, there's strength and kindness.
Yeah, no, I mean, I do remember that discourse as well. I think that angle is really sweet, actually. And again, it's all about Superman being good, about being a friend and being down to earth despite his powers. And we kind of unpack the notion of you get powers, you are going to want to chase fame and fortune and glory. On the football field, for instance, is something that Jordan, he wants to prove himself and show that he's just as good as the people who've picked on him. It builds on the classic Jonathan Kent Sr., his idea of just because you can doesn't mean you should. You know, classic superhero things. But that opening scene of the show, the montage of Clark's life, and then that moment, green car, the Max Fleischer suit, calling back to that original Action Comics cover. I mean, all of that, and Tyler Hoechlin's embodiment of kindness and hope. He is an absolutely excellent Superman, and that whole scene is wonderful. And I just love how decades after the original movie, they're still getting the character bang on. I mean, this iteration of Superman, it brings the good, the faith, the optimism. He's a friend to everyone. I love little things like he can just speak every language, so he can reach everyone on a human level, and that's beautiful. And Superman finds the good in even enemies. Like John Henry Irons starts out as an enemy, and then they become best buds, and it's a dynamic that I really love.
I loved that whole progression with that dynamic where John Henry Irons, he's such a terrifying villain with his suit. But then once you get to know him, what he's been through, trying to kill the other version of Superman that unfortunately killed his world. And you get to see that progression from being enemies to best buddies. And then he's still looking out for his daughter, Natalie, which is weight that he carries from the other world. It's just something that I really like. There was a clear progression and didn't forget anything about the details from season 1. And I think that's the thing about this show, is that there was a natural storyline that is progressing, which made it feel like you're watching this very, very, very long movie. You know, it's like you're reading an omnibus.
Yeah, it is. I don't know how much of this was planned, but they certainly make it seem like the whole thing was very carefully structured and plotted out. And the show is just as much about human strength and the power of feeling and love as it is about physical powers and abilities that Superman has. It's things like the Kent family spending time together, or being at a football game, or Lana and Kyle having their marital struggles, or a conversation between mother and son on the porch, or there's a scene where John Henry sits and cries over his lost wife. It's small moments of love and pain and happiness and sadness, and it makes the story so rich, and it's all brought together by, I don't know what the budget was in terms of other CW shows, but
Yeah.
it looks really good. I love the use of lighting throughout. There's a lot of great sun stuff. There is some rough CGI and green screen, and it
Yes.
is a bit too frequent. And yeah, it's a TV show. Some of it is forgiven, but some stuff looks really, really shaky. But there are other things that look really good, like the steel suit, John Henry Iron's suit. When it's practical, it looks amazing, and it looks better than the Iron Man suit half the time.
Yeah.
And there's millions of dollars behind that.
Yeah, with nanotech, yeah, we
Yeah,
don't.
exactly.
It's so ugly with nanotech.
Because he's actually wearing it. It's not like,
Yeah.
sometimes it is CGI and it looks awful, but when he's actually wearing it and it's actually the actor in it, they do the Iron Man heads up display
Yeah.
view thing. That's awful. But when it's actually him in the suit on set, it does look great. And the reality of
great.
the show is brought together by Dan Romer's score. Holy moly.
Holy moly, I agree with you, Tom. This is something that I've never heard. I've been blessed by those beautiful symphonies with the score, and it just makes things so powerful and rich with Superman.
Something that has held back other Superman iterations is insisting on keeping the Williams theme. Our video last week, we gushed about that theme. It's incredible, but I think that every Superman needs to have their own distinct sound. I'm a little bit worried about David Corenswet also just using the Williams theme. We shall see. But this theme is beautiful, and the different iterations of it. There's one that's kind of like a plucky strings version that's kind of like, oh, Smallville in the autumn, having fun and everyone having a barbecue and having a good time. And then there's a more powerful one that bring in the brass, and much like the Williams theme, the composition is very simple, but it works so well, and it embodies this Superman perfectly. It never hesitated to make me feel both really excited and also really sad.
Yeah, the music really helps to explore the emotional core of the series, especially in season 3 as we explore Lois with the awful discovery that she has cancer. It's a very difficult subject, but I think this season handled that with care. And I think the music, as we see this journey through the awful progression as she gets into chemotherapy and surgery, the score, it's so somber, it's so powerful. And I think this is really important. You know, there's Superman and Lois, and we explore both of those worlds very easily, and it's just something heartbreaking. Superman, the most powerful guy in the world, is something that could progressively get worse, and he feels helpless. It's really sad. I think they did an amazing job with that. The show is not afraid to show that relationship, the hardships, but in season 3, that's something much deeper and so much more existential in a way that hits really hard.
It's so real and so sad, because the worst thing that any superhero can face is the thing that they can't do anything about as a hero, and introducing that cancer storyline. Season 2 at times was a bit up and down.
Yeah.
I like the season a lot, but it is a season that is a bit less compelling and a bit more of a slog, especially in the middle. But season 3, it introduces this really human element that I think is so very difficult. And the show had already tackled things like miscarriage, depression, some really heavy themes. And to see a superhero go through something so unstoppable in the real world is amazing. And as you said, this is Superman and Lois. Clark and Lois's relationship is just amazing here. And what I adore here is Lois. She's an active character, and the mysteries that she chases are just as compelling as the Superman plot lines, and her conflicts with family or friends and internally with the cancer, with the miscarriage. That's just as dramatic and exciting as Superman battling his foes. And Elizabeth Tulloch is an amazing Lois Lane. She brings all that fire, enthusiasm, charisma, love that you want from the character. Not just as a reporter, because we see her as a mother, a wife, a woman. She's just as important as Superman. Superman and Lois, not Superman with Lois. They are equals in this story. And the show confronts the idea of Clark's secret identity in a really interesting way. And it's not just from the perspective of Clark, but also from Lois as well, and from everyone around them in their family. We've seen that, I need to protect my identity, otherwise people I care about are in danger before. We do get that, but we also get to see it tear lives apart and sometimes prevent Clark and Jordan and John and Lois from being happy. And it's a burden to all of them. We see how it affects people in all kind of situations on a short and long-term basis. It's about trust and also belief in good, no matter what face it wears. So for someone like John Henry Irons, Superman goes from being a far-off and dangerous being of immense power, but discovering his identity is a pathway to seeing the human side, the good side that's worth placing everyone's faith in. And I think it keeps things very interesting.
Oh yeah, for sure. There was that conflict with Superman being this powerful being, but it's that faith and optimism that he always has, and that has effect on other people. And I think that's the most powerful thing that you can have. And there's the other thing as well, he always supports Lois. That's such a healthy relationship that you get to see on screen. And one of the things in the opening season 3, Lois is announced that she's pregnant, and John Henry sees Superman just picking up stuff for Lois. Again, you don't get to see a guy just going to the shops and get something for his girlfriend or wife. That's just something that I think is just so healthy to see. It's just two guys just like, hey, if you need help with anything, that's just so wholesome. I'm just like, wholesome. This is so wholesome. You get to see a lot of wholesome stuff.
Yeah, it's not just Lois doing stuff for Clark. They're helping
Yeah.
each other. Now, I want to talk about villains. And every season
Yes.
has a brilliant villain.
It
and
does.
For a superhero show to have one great villain is one thing. But this show has 5 incredible antagonists, and each one works perfectly with the themes of their season. So I want to go one by one here.
Let's do that. Let's do that.
Season 1. Season 1 entirely is about feeling like you have a home in a new place and that life can carry on and thrive. And we have Morgan Edge, or Tal Rowe, who offers the people of Smallville that very chance to thrive and prosper. But he himself is trying to bring back his home, bring back Krypton, the very opposite of moving on and accepting a new place. And as a character, he just wants to feel love and accepted. And in season 2, he gets that chance and lives his life as a better person. Clark comes to see the good in Tal, and we discover he wasn't just defined by his villainous actions. As I say, the show is about seeing the good in everyone, as I said about John Henry Irons and many characters throughout. But with Tal Rowe, he wants to feel like he has a place that he belongs, which is exactly what the characters are dealing with moving from Metropolis to Smallville and having people trust them. But Tal is consumed by this feeling that humanity rejected him, and that's why he's villainous. That's such a brilliant juxtaposition to have.
Yeah, with Morgan Edge, I was like, oh, this is another British villain again. We do have a reason why he's British, because he's okay, I don't know why this is funny to me. It shouldn't be funny, but he lands in Britain and then he gets captured by the British guards or something.
Damn.
I don't know why. It's just so funny. It's just like, oh no, he landed in Britain, anywhere else but Britain.
Oh,
of all
no.
places. He landed
was
in
raining.
Birmingham. But
Oh,
it's a
God.
sad backstory. It's a sad backstory. But I
Yeah.
shouldn't be laughing at that. But it's just, he's landed in Britain, not Britain. I think he's a great villain. I loved the motivation behind him, that he doesn't want to lose everything he has. And then you get to see that in season 2, where he becomes closer to Clark and he lives a good life.
Now, I like how a lot of the villains aren't just one season and then we never see them again. Every villain, apart from one, crossover between seasons. And the one who doesn't, season 2, is Ali Alston. So this season is about the feeling of not being whole, of having something missing, wanting to feel that void. That's what she wants to achieve. That's what she offers to people. She's a cult leader, and she prophesizes the idea of going to the bizarro world and you'd be able to feel truly satisfied and content. But then at the end, when she merges with her bizarro self, other than the fact that she goes insane, she still can't find that fulfillment. And there's this idea of the steps that she takes to fill that gap in her life are the very things that tears herself apart, rather than just focusing on what you have, which is family, of course. This is what the show is about.
Yeah, that was an interesting interesting concept to follow through with Bizarro. Everybody was like, oh, Bizarro Superman. I love the entire sequence when Superman saves the two worlds colliding, and that was a great sequence. Just him, just like, and just like doing everything. That was a great sound effect that I did.
Yeah, that was it. That was perfect. I don't
That
think
was
we're allowed to
perfect.
play clips from the show, actually.
Oh, sorry guys. I don't want to be copyrighted. That was some music as well. My vocal cords played the entire symphony for that sequence. Yeah, with Ali Elston. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I don't have anything negative in mind. I wish there was kind of a bit more, especially that we get to have that with Morgan Edge, that emotional weight that you had to go through, especially with the hologram to prove he is worthy. So, yeah, Ali Elston, good villain.
I agree. We could have done more with her, and that's the thing about season 2. It is the weakest one. It is the
Yeah.
weakest villain, but it's still not bad. It's just lower than the rest.
Yeah, it's just like the back of my mind. It's just like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, Ali Elston.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about you.
But there is an interesting part of season 2, which is Bizarro himself. He's a Superman whose life was consumed by fame and arrogance, something that Jordan and Jonathan both struggle with in the show. And Bizarro is that mirror image of what Superman could become, literally and also metaphorically. But he is more of a tragic hero who lived long enough to see himself become a villain. And then in season 3, this is probably where we get into full spoiler territory, but he becomes a monster. And oh my god, it's genius, John. It's genius.
It's genius.
He's
It's genius.
introduced as a fake out Doomsday in the mines wearing the suit from the comics. And then, oh no, it's Bizarro. But then he actually does become Doomsday, a creature with unbelievable strength who literally kills Superman. And I don't know if this was planned, but my god, it's so brilliant. He's unleashed on Clark because he believes Lex Luthor cares about him, but ultimately after everything, he just wants to live, just wants peace and quiet, which is exactly
Yeah.
what season 4 is about. He wants to be home, which is what season 1's about. He wants to feel whole, which is what season 2's about. He's like a culmination of all these things.
Wow, yeah, but Doomsday, I was like, it's Doomsday, it's him out of nowhere when he lands in Clark's home, and there's something like, oh no, and I love the build up to that. What on
He
earth
rings
is
the
going on?
doorbell.
Like ding,
Ding dong.
hello, it's me, Doomsday. Great villain, and it's so sad. There's that understanding of like, oh wow, he's been through that torment and suffering to have this normal life that you wanted to have back in Bizarro, just chilling, reading everything in reverse, just like. And
Can I just say, we get a full episode on Bizarro World, and everything is shot in reverse. The amount of planning that must have gone into that. Every shot is flipped. You can see in the actor's face that it's all flipped. And then we get people from our world on the Bizarro World. So the amount of planning they would have had to do to flip every element apart from these certain things, that is very clever.
It's like, whoa, the detail in this show is amazing. Then we have another villain.
I do want to say before we get to that, Doomsday's death scene was so weirdly emotional. The idea that Superman's about to punch him into the sun and he just kind of is like, no, hold on. Let me
Hold
go
on.
gently into the good night. And just this idea that like Doomsday as Superman, as Bizarro, he lost everything. He lost his Lois. And what does that do to you? Losing a loved one, which is exactly what season 3 is about. And in season 3, we get Bruno Mannheim. We're introduced to Mannheim as a dangerous criminal, but we discover that he's just a husband and a father trying to protect his family and save his wife. The scenes where he must let go of his wife as her cancer finally takes her are some of the most tragic of the show. This man who's so scared of living a life after losing the thing he loves most. Just like Doomsday. And you can see the wreck he is when she dies. And Mannheim doesn't double down. He doesn't give in to his anger and become a villain with nothing to lose. No, just like with Tal, this show is about the humanity in everyone, and it's about real people in a superpowered world. All Bruno Mannheim wanted was to save his wife, and after he loses her, he gives it all up. Through his pain, he must accept what he became and do right by his son.
It's heartbreaking when a villain is trying to save someone that he loves, but has been a murderer. It's a very interesting conflict, by the way. It's like two worlds that we are seeing, like with Lois trying to get through the treatments and stuff, and she's not using the Fortress of Solitude to get rid of the cancer. It could kill her. But then with the Mannheims, they are trying to brute force their way through. It's really heartbreaking when Bruno tries to save Pierre. I think it's very human to go through that. Again, it's the human stories that we explore in Superman and Lois that is really emotional, and she has this power with her voice. It reminds me of what's the guy? I don't know. I forgot the guy that makes sound waves or something. I forgot his name.
From X-Men.
Yeah, what's his name?
Banshee.
Banshee. Oh yeah, Banshee.
Yeah, man.
Banshee. Yeah. So
These
there's a lot
fish.
of,
For my
yeah.
X-Men First Class fans out there.
So yeah, that whole scene where Bruno and his son Matteo look out and they're thinking of ways to save Pierre from this, and Superman has to do this, and it's okay to let go. It's a perfect way to show that there's a lot of things to follow up with the emotions and to say everything's all right, but everything's not. And then it's heartbreaking when, again, Superman can't save everybody. I think that was such a really emotional villain. I'm not saying there's a massive tonal shift, but I think that's a gradual tonal shift into season 3. And it's like, damn, okay. And I like that.
Yeah, no, I absolutely. And it's really heartbreaking seeing the hero and the villain deal with the same thing. And Bruno Mannheim worked so hard to save his community, and he does. And he makes this cancer facility that literally is where Lois goes. And the reason that she beats her cancer is because of the treatment she got at his facility. It's heartbreaking because you can see the good man and the good intentions, just all the awful things. And again, the way that everything feels like it all builds to the same conclusion is very, very great because it all builds up. Season 4, the villain that every Superman has to face. It's Lex Luthor, innit?
It's Lex Luthor, baby. Yeah.
With his awful ginger wig. I'm sorry. Unforgivable stuff. If
Ginger
that
wig,
wasn't a wig, I do apologize, but like, come on, that looked bad.
That looked bad. That looked bad, bro. That's like going to the hairdresser. It's like, hey, can you change my hairstyle? And it's just like, what is that? What is this is like the most unexpected portrayal of Lex because Lex, he's this witty guy who wants to fight against Superman who has amazing technology, but he's a crazy guy. But in this show, I don't know, it just feels like this rough, angry guy, I don't know, just has this reserved thing about him that seems so terrifying. He's been in prison for 17 years. He has built up that rage. You know, he missed everything with his daughter, and his daughter doesn't really talk to him anymore. He has so much rage towards Lois. It's so terrifying. He knows everything about Lois and Clark, and he made Doomsday to fight Superman. He's a lot more terrifying than I imagined because I was like, oh yeah, obviously there's Lex Luthor somewhere in this show. Obviously, we do hear like Captain Luthor in the first season. So obviously there was something building towards that. It just works. That portrayal just seems so different and refreshing.
Yeah, it truly, when it comes to Superman, the casting of Superman and Lois and Lex are always the things that you've got to get right. And in my humble opinion, I don't think that they have ever really got it wrong. Kevin Spacey's aside, they have never really got the casting of Clark or Lois or Lex wrong. Never seen Lois and Clark the show, but other than that, I think this show is a great example of those three castings being so well. And so the final season, it's about letting go of the way you lived your life, of the people or places you love, of Superman letting go of his secret and eventually his powers. And Lex Luthor, he's the antithesis of that. He is consumed by his need for revenge and to win so entirely that he forgets the very thing that this show is about: family, love, passion, hope. Luthor loses it all because all he can see is his hatred. He can't see past it. And like many of the villains, he can't accept or learn the lessons of the show, and he perishes because of it. It's my favorite kind of villain. They do a fantastic job. Michael Kudlitz is a brilliant Luthor, and he is a late inclusion, but they execute him phenomenally. He's a master manipulator, a genius. He's a physical match to Clark, which we never really see in any of the movies. And of course, he's petty, he's vengeful, he's a selfish man, and he can't accept his own inferiority opposite Superman. And even after everything, Clark forgives him, and there's just something about that.
Yeah, there's that powerful thing. He forgives loads of people as well, which I really like. There's that kindness to forgive people. You can move on and accept all those things in those stages of life. Superman, he saves everybody no matter what. It could be the villains. And then leading up to the finale is a great build up to like understand what the season is. And there's that whole roundup to everything that he's been through. Everybody grows up. Everybody lives quiet life. I couldn't stop crying, guys. I couldn't stop crying. It must be weird for you because you watched this back in 2021.
Yeah, it is weird because you watch these characters all grow up and then oh man, I've never seen season 3 and 4 until the last few days. And last night finishing season 4, that final montage, it mirrors the opening of the show. But it's just heartbreaking. It's so bloody beautiful, but you just don't want it to end. The final episode, it's embroidered on the wall. It went by so fast, and just that idea of 4 seasons or just an entire life just went by so fast. And it's just that final monologue from Clark about the things that he valued in his life: family, friendship, partnership, forgiveness, and love. Oh man, that got me in the feels.
Yeah, it's hard not to cry. I think about that whole monologue. Again, it's just the iteration of the Superman that just gives so much emotional weight for that monologue, and it's just reflecting on so many things to have this life on Earth and have this relationship with Lois and just having kids and then just trying to look out for everybody in Smallville as well. It's a beautiful arc for him to realize it just went by so fast. That's equally terrifying but heartwarming at the same time. It's just like, oof.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's one of those
yeah.
things. 2021 when
Yeah.
it began, beginning of uni for me, and now to watch the end of it, now that it's a year behind me, it's like, oh, it hits you a bit like a train.
Yeah, I have the same feeling as well. Once you get to the later stage of the episodes, you don't want to finish it. That's the thing. You don't want to finish the show or this whole thing that's been stuck with you. You want to keep that feeling with you, like when you watch a show or story. And once you go through those emotions and you accept the ending, it's more about the journey rather than the destination of sorts.
Yeah, storytelling can be so powerful, and I love Superman. So to close us out, favorite season?
I have to go with season 3
Yeah,
with
I
this.
agree. Bloody good season. And what are you going to give Superman Lois out of 10?
I'm gonna have to say a 9 out of 10 because it's peak. It's
Yeah.
peak. You gotta watch this, everybody.
We're both saying 9 out of 10 here, and I think it just goes to show how powerful Superman can be that this is our 5th Superman-related episode of the podcast, and Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Superman the movie, and Superman Lois, we've all given 9 out of 10s. Just goes to show how much this character can touch us. And, okay, final words before we go into Superman next week. How
Oh,
are you
yes.
feeling? What do you want? Bare minimum.
There's the expectation of this has to be really good, which is in my mind about this, obviously. I do want to have something similar to Superman, but we can't have the same thing every time. But I feel like this is brand new, exciting. Is it terrifying to think about if this movie's gonna flop? Yes, I am terrified. So you know what? I'm looking forward to it. I'm still rooting for it because watching this show, I'm just like, dude, we're going to the DCU. That's the most exciting thing, everybody. That we're going into the DCU. It can be exciting, scary at times, but Superman, there's something about it. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, ideally, I want it to be the best movie of the year and one of my favorite comic book movies.
Scorsese goes out nowhere. It's like,
Yeah.
I forget about comic book movies. This is cinema.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. But the chances of that are low. Realistically, it will probably be good, but probably not that good. And my main thought is, if I leave the cinema feeling the same way as I did at the end of Transformers 1, then they did it. I want to feel
Yeah.
elated and optimistic. We're 1 week away. Here's hoping Superman lives up to the hype. Thank you everybody for listening. If you're listening on YouTube and you liked it, you can like and subscribe if you want to see more. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, you can follow and give us a 5-star review if you think we're worthy. Can you guess what next week is? Yes, it is indeed Superman.
Oh, wow. I got it right,
What?
guys.
Yeah.
What? I got Superman right.
You can send us an email at outsignfilmpod@gmail.com. Let us know your thoughts on Superman. We're very interested. And we'll answer it here on the podcast next week.
Yes, and you can follow us on Instagram at Out of Time Film Pod to see our incredible thumbnails from Zain Afzal, on Twitter for more thoughts from Tom and me, and TikTok to see edited clips, which are all also on Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts. And you can find links to that all in the description below. Thanks to Jones-Meyer for the excellent theme and Ronan Phillips for vocals as always. And I think that's everything. Take what you're given.
Give nothing back.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.